What is the soul? Have you pondered what is the soul? I know that I have. Well, more than just pondering. I've kind of done a deep dive and really sat back and really contemplated with my guides and spirit on exactly what a soul is. So, as you know, when I started this channel, my whole goal was to break down the myths, the things that have kept us separate, that keeps us from adjoining with God and blossoming and attuning to this greater presence and self of who we are, who I know you to be. And it's really exciting for me to do this particular video because as I wrap up things here at my house, because many of you know I bought an RV and I plan on spending the next year traveling and doing like these episodes from the road. Well, at least until the rapture happens, which is right around the corner. It's pretty exciting, actually, and I'm going to do a more in-depth episode on that in probably just an episode or two, so stay tuned. Hey, the Law of Attunement. So as we look at crossing this great chasm, and as I wrap up this time in my place, I've always had this picture behind me, and this picture behind me has always stood for crossing the chasm, seeing beyond, which is actually the first mantra my guides and spirit ever gave me. Seeing beyond what most mortals can see and train and share and expel the myths that have been propagated, these lies that have been propagated through us. In my last episode, I talked about the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill and how it's a prism. And this prism really corrupts the way we look at the world, making it more from a monetary standpoint, instead of really nurturing the aspect of God, this God force, this brilliant light within each and every one of you to nourish all things, this solar sun. So when I talk about the soul, I really see you as a Soularian. So evolutionaries, welcome to a new term, Soularian. And this is really exciting for me to share because I honor you and I honor the light within you. It's really exciting for me to share this because I love you so much. You are here for a reason. And this is really exciting for me because this falls right along or inside of the law of blossoming and this natural heavenly law of phi in the expansion of who we are. Because people talk about that we're all one, but they don't really talk about or think about or contemplate or share exactly how are we all one. Because the narrative is that a soul enters the body. So again, that is a myth, a story that basically says that we are all individuals. We're splintered, if you will. We're not whole, and that's absolutely false. We are more whole and godly than we could ever imagine, and yet that's been hidden from us behind one of the many veils, which you evolutionaries are just, I'm just so excited to share just this time with you, this space with you, and it just brings incredible love to my heart. So let me talk a little about the soul and you as a Soularian, because as we know, all is God and all is soul. So when I say all is soul, the metaphor that I'm going to use here is a flower, the blossoming flower, because this really pertains to the law of blossoming. Because as a flower begins to open, its petals begin to extend and face towards the sun. And in this example, the sun is God. And we are that as we begin to bring light into the darkness. Because again, our job here before it was corrupted was to grow and evolve through contrast. Although evil stepped in, which made it very difficult for us to evolve and find the sunlight within the darkness. And as I've shared before, our goal really is to bring light to the darkness. And this is exciting to me, as well as, and this is really a little contradictory in some ways because people don't grasp it, but bring light into the light because you are the light of the light. And when I say this, I'm reminded of one of the earlier mantras that my guides gave me, which is ascend into the depths. And ascend into the depths, when you really grasp that, and I talk about you being the wellspring of God, because the deeper you dig the well, the purer the water, the more mineral content in that water, the more enriching, the more nourishing that water is. And so as you go deeper into this wellspring, this heart place, the seat of the soul, the more enriched you become and the more vibrantly energetic and lit, if you will, that you become to others. And they are just brought into this magnificence of God through the God force within you. So as this blossoming occurs, you are, if you will, an individual petal. And the petals are all connected to the flower. And the flower continues to grow and blossom. And so you're bringing greater glory to yourself and to the aspect of God within you, which is the soul. And this one soul, which we're all connected to. It's just really magnificent. So let me kind of step back for a second and explain to you how I was presented with this information. So this is really kind of the correlation. And so when I look at this, we are human. And each human has a consciousness. Now, this consciousness is obviously evolved in different degrees and different senses of awareness and dimensionalities with regards to how we are equipped to see and really what the focus is. And so each of these are optics, if you will, and how we look at things from the perspective of who we are, this lens, if you will. So we are, the best way to describe this is a lens for the soul. So as we look at optics, we're able to polish the lens to be able to see better. If we're able to see better, we're able to read things or see things in the lower lights or different things. But the same thing applies with us. As we grow and evolve and blossom and attune to new things, the spectrum of things that we are now aware of, that we can now see, grows immensely. It's like cats. Cats are amazing. They can see things in the night. They can actually, when you see a cat turn its head, it actually sees things in different spectrums beyond the spectrum that we can see in. It can see into the etheric spectrum and the astral spectrums, which is actually pretty cool. Which is essentially what we are learning here in Earth School. And it's really exciting because as we begin to express this greater beauty within, this God spark, this ever-burgeoning light of the light, we begin to see more things and nourish more things. Just like a flower opening, a bumblebee is going to come and grab the pollen and go and do the things that it does in order to extend this great life, if you will, this beauty. And this is what we are doing, is we are extending and carrying this light forth so that we help others blossom. And just, again, by being in the mere presence of someone who may be let's say down, just by being around them, you are bringing, because of the radiance of this amazing solar energy, the solar sun, this electromagnetic frequencies that are emanating of love, unselfish love from your heart, are doing things that you're not even aware of to people that are around you. So we are this lens. We're able to see beyond the veil. And again, as I've talked about before, there are veils that were set up by these evil, tyrannical people that have controlled the earth. Now we're able to pierce those veils and then realize that these are just things that we as godly beings can't stop us. They can't hold us back from seeing the truth. So now I'm going to introduce a new word, Trutharian. So now as we grow as a soul and blossom, we're better able to see and understand the greater truth of all things, which is really exciting because as we grow in truth, so does the greater aspect of who we are. The soul grows and the flower blossoms even greater. And then again, it gets pretty interesting because as the blossoms, because if you've ever looked at a flower blossoming, the petals overlap, right? So you've got these blossoming petals and they're touching and overlapping as they're opening to capture this greater glory of the sun, of this nourishment. So it can share greater nourishment and greater beauty. So these petals interact. And so as you and I interact, and I love having conversations with you, then we have and create what's known as an interference pattern, or really a resonance wave. So as we connect, we become greater because the flower itself is blossoming and becoming greater. And this is this greater expansion or resonance of love. And this is beyond mortal love. This is the unselfish love of God. These are things that we are bringing or rebaptizing this planet into that has not happened in millennia since the evildoers, this virus, if you will, have taken this planet. And now we are taking it back. And it's really this glorious occasion that we have chosen to be here at this time for the optical lens of the soul being able to enjoy what we are seeing. And this is really exciting because well, a number of things, and I'm going to do a bigger video on this, but it's going to really unfold and unpack exactly what and how I've been, I understand, or been shared by Spirit of exactly what's transpiring here on Earth. So stay tuned for that video. That's coming up soon. So just like I talked about very early on this channel, the angelic optics and how angels have a point of presence and are able to see things. This whole channel has been around evolving your optics, how you look at things, not from a two-dimensional mythology type of thing, the way that people have been taught are corrupted with regards to how we see, but to see things dimensionally, to see things living in a way that we and how we are supposed to be able to see, seeing the light in another. And the greater that this really unfolds within us, this blossoming, the greater we're able to see these things. As I've talked about before, I'm actually able to peer in and see those that have a soul and really what stage of development their soul is. And then there are those that don't have souls, and we just call those non-player characters, which are dropped into this game to run interference to keep us from evolving. And that's, well, we've all had those crazy boyfriends, girlfriends, as one example, that have kind of like thrown us off. But once we really understand they are a teacher, then it really backfires on the game, and we actually evolve and go to the next level. And it's really exciting when you grasp that everything happens, even when the darkness steps in the path, that we can overcome that darkness and bring light to the darkness and bring, again, light to the light. And this is really exciting because we're bringing a greater purification of light into the light as we blossom, as we express this greater beauty that is within us, this Soularian, this soul, this aspect of God which is in each and every one of you. So know that you are a lens, and depending on how you choose to look at the world, you can bring great blessings upon yourself and others, or you can bring great horrors, because there's always a way to look at things in a way that is in the glory of for everyone involved, to bring a greater expression of God into this realm. And this is just purely like me doing this video for you because I love you so much, and it's just really exciting for me to share this immense love in the way that I'm able to share these teachings, which no one else in my mind has ever really taught this type of thing before, because again, we're all one, and people say it, but what exactly does that mean? Well, it means that we are all part of the one. We're all individually blossoming to be this greater beauty and bring this greater beauty back so that perfection knows greater perfection. And you've heard me talk a little bit about this before. This is actually the very first thing that I was ever taught, was that when the angelics, the God, knew perfection, what could it do in order to know more perfection or greater perfection? And this is really where this whole cascading event happened, because most people think when you're perfect, you're perfect. But yet, what is greater than perfect? And again, this is the optics that I want to express to you, is by asking questions. What is beyond the veil? What is beyond this mortal love that we feel? What and how can I bring this love to a greater level here on earth at this moment and be an angelic representative of God and fully blossom this God force within me so that I'm able to bring this immense love to all beings. And I love you guys so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye-bye.